All right, so one of the things you want to make sure you're doing on a regular basis is checking the health of your arrows. So you can start with one of these little handy dandy arrow spinners here. And you just put it in here, this, and check to see if it's straight, right? So looking pretty good. Check, make sure your arrows are straight. Check and make sure your points are nice and snug. Check the health of your fletchings. Make sure they're good. Check your nocks. Those are nice and tight and positioned properly. And just overall inspection is a good idea on a regular basis. So I don't do this every day, but probably, after shooting 4 or 5 times, I'll do a thorough inspection of them. I mean, I check them before I put them in my bow to shoot, just quick glance, right? Just to make sure they're good. But sometimes you don't see things like if it's crooked. So if it's crooked, if your arrow's not straight, well, it's not going to fly straight. So you want to, there's nothing you can do about a crooked arrow except replace it. But you can fix fletchings, you can put in new tips or tighten your tips, new nocks. One of the things with the nocks is you want to make sure it clicks in on your string really good. Not super tight, but you don't want it so you can like easily just pull it off just by like a slight snug on it or tug on it. When it's on your arrow, you should be able to tug on it just ever so lightly and it shouldn't come off. But again, you don't want it so tight on there that it's like you got to yank it off. But so finding a sweet spot for it, because obviously that'll affect your, well, if it's too loose, it can just fly off when you don't want it to, and that's not good. It is an arrow with a point on after all. So you don't want your arrows just flying off unexpectedly. But you also don't want it on so tight where it's going to have trouble coming off and it's going to affect your trajectory, the velocity of the arrow, and potentially the accuracy. So just a few things to look out for on your arrows. Always check them, keep them in good health. When it's time to replace them. And yeah, arrow health is important. Now, when it comes to replacing fletchings and stuff, I'm personally not somebody who does that. I just don't. It's time consuming, and depending on the type of arrow it is and whether it has a wrap on it or it's painted, will determine how difficult it is to replace the fletchings. So you can buy a fletching jig and learn how to do it yourself. For arrows that the fletching comes off of, but the arrow is still in good health, it's a good idea because you're not throwing away a whole arrow just because you're missing a fletching. So it's not a bad idea to learn how to do it, to replace ones that come off. Of course, you'll need the same fletchings that you bought, where you bought your arrows from, you buy the fletchings from. You got to make sure you get the same ones. There's 4 fletch and 3 fletch arrows. So you got to make sure you get the right jig to do that. But I personally don't do it just because, again, it's time consuming, and I probably should, because I'm tossing arrows potentially that are still in really good shape, or I use them to make other stuff. But so as far as a new arrow, building a new arrow from scratch, including the fletchings, I personally don't do it just because, again, it's time consuming and you don't really save that much money by doing it yourself. I buy them pre-fletched and then I cut them to size and I put my inserts in. So